Good morning, children. Welcome back to the English class. Today we are going to continue with our topic on direct and indirect speech. Do you remember what we had done in the last class? Yes, we had done some rules and seen how to change direct speech into indirect speech. Let us recap those quickly and then we are going to do a few more rules. Now, what is direct speech and what is indirect speech? In simple words, direct speech is the way of reporting the exact and actual words of the speaker. Now, when I'm reporting the exact and actual words of the speaker, they have to be within inverted commas or quotation marks or speech marks. And the reporting verb like said, told, he said, she told, after this there should be a comma. The way of reporting only the substance of the speaker's words and not his exact words is called indirect speech. In simple words, in indirect speech, we just report the meaning of the speaker's words. The meaning cannot change, but we have to change the words when we are reporting or conveying the message to someone else. Now, we cannot change in any way we like. We have to follow certain rules and change the words according to those rules. But the substance or the meaning of the speaker's words has to remain the same. Now, one very important thing which is to be changed is that we have to remove the inverted commas. The inverted commas have to be removed and the comma or any other punctuation mark except the full stop has to be removed. Right now, we are doing just declarative sentences or statements, how to change them to indirect speech. But even if you have imperative sentences, you have exclamatory sentences, you have interrogative sentences, these can also be changed into indirect speech, which of course we are going to do later. The second thing which you have to remember while changing into indirect speech are the words which are going to replace the words used in direct speech. And the tenses change, the pronouns change, and the words showing nearness or time also change. For example, today becomes that day. Yesterday becomes the previous day. Here becomes there. This becomes that. Now let us recap some of the rules which we had done yesterday. Rules for changing direct to indirect speech. We had done just a few. So a quick recap of these, and if you have revised it, you'll be able to know these very well. If it is in the present tense, that is the sentence which is in the present tense and in direct speech, and we want it to change into indirect speech, it is changed into the corresponding past tense forms. The easiest is when you have present tense forms. So we'll start with that. If a sentence in direct speech is in simple present tense, the one in indirect has to change to simple past tense. Similarly, present continuous changes to past continuous. Present perfect continuous changes to past perfect continuous. So these three are easy to remember. You just remember anything if it is in simple present, present continuous, or present perfect has to change to the corresponding past. Suppose simple present changes to simple past, present continuous changes to past continuous, and perfect present changes to past perfect. Now comes the past tense. If a sentence is in the past tense, present tense forms we change to past tense forms. But what to do if the sentence is already in the past tense? There are rules for it as well. If your sentence is in simple past tense, it has to change to past perfect tense. If it is in past continuous, it has to change to past perfect continuous. And if it is already past perfect continuous, then it is not going to change, means the tense is not going to change. Of course, you have to frame the sentence differently. That means you have to remove the inverted commas, you have to remove the comma, and if it is a declarative sentence and we remove the comma, then we have to add the word that. She said that. She told that. So past perfect, no change doesn't mean that I keep the inverted commas and the comma, etc. I have to remove those, frame the sentence differently, but the tense is not going to change. The sentence is going to be in the past perfect tense only. Now some more. If you have words like may in the sentence, she may come tomorrow, and these are in inverted commas, so then you have to change may to might, and the sentence becomes she might come. Should I write tomorrow? No, that we are going to learn. Tomorrow becomes the next day, so she might come the next day. Shall changes to should or would. Easier is to remember should, because shall and should are like with a similar sh, so it will be easier for you to remember. May to might, because both start with m. Shall to should, but would is also correct. Can, if anything is a sentence has can and I'm changing it to indirect, then I have to use could instead. And will change to would. Now these words we usually don't remember to change when I'm changing to indirect speech. I just change the tense and then forget about changing these words, plus the pronouns also have to be changed, plus I have to also change words which show time or which show the place, like here, this, other words. Now let us see these rules. These were the rules or how to change something if I have to change the sentence to indirect speech. Most of it we had done yesterday. Now we go and see the other things which need to be changed if I am changing my sentence and converting it into indirect speech. Now comes a very important thing. This many of us forget to change, and if we don't change this, then our sentence becomes wrong and I don't get marks. Now, the second thing or the second rule is that I have to change words showing nearness or a specific time. Of course, specific time doesn't mean 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, etc. But specific time means today, tonight, this week, this month, words like that. Okay, now if I have a sentence, do it now, then if I'm changing it to indirect, it has to be then, THEN and not THAN. THAN would be wrong because it is used for comparison. This changes to that. These changes to those. Now, if you remember these pronouns, these are demonstrative pronouns. All these four, this is used for something near me, and a singular thing or one thing, and these is used for some things near me when they are near me but they are more than two, they are in a group. But here, when I change to indirect speech, I cannot use this and these again in indirect speech. It has to be changed. These two have to be changed, and words like that and those which normally we use for things that are far are to be used. So this gets replaced by that, and these gets replaced by those. Now here I would like to remind you all children that you must learn these, understand them and learn. You should know all these by heart, and it should be on the tip of your tongue whenever someone asks what has to change and what will be replaced by what. You should be able to say it without even wasting 1 minute. So here, if you have something here that is very near to you, there it becomes in indirect speech. Now, these were words showing nearness. Now is, of course, for time. This, these shows something near you, and these will be replaced by that and those which show something or things far from you. Here again shows something where you are, and in indirect it becomes there. Now we come to some days, not Monday, Tuesday, etc., but today. If I say something has happened today, I've done something today, I'm going out today, then when I'm changing it to indirect, I'm not going to use the word today. Today becomes that day when I'm reporting it to someone else. Tonight is quite easy because today becomes that day. So tonight becomes that night. I hope these words are clear to you and you are going to remember these words, because direct and indirect speech is going to come again and again till your board exams. So these basic rules and what has to change to what has to be done thoroughly by you and remembered. Of course, later on you will be changing sentences which are imperative sentences. Tenses, of course, have to change, but then you'll be using these rules for changing interrogative sentences, exclamatory sentences, and imperative sentences. Now, let us see the next rule. Okay, still we are on that only. Next, it is the same thing, how the words which show the time or the nearness are going to change when I change something to indirect speech. If I have the word tomorrow, I'm not going to write tomorrow in indirect speech. What will I be writing? The next day or the following day. Both are correct. You could write one of them. You don't need to write both of them. If something is there, tomorrow I have a test tomorrow, then in indirect you are not going to say test tomorrow. You are going to say the next day. Last week means the week which is over. So the previous week. Similarly, for last month or the last year, the word which has to be used is previous month, previous year. Yesterday, of course, again is something which is over. So the previous day. Next for something which is going to come. Like if I say next week, next month, next year. And previous for what is over, the previous day, the previous week, the previous month. Is it clear, children? I hope you will learn all these. Whenever you are free, please go through these tables. These tables are given in your Real English book, as well as your skill enhancer also has this topic. Now you would wonder where it is in Real English book. The reported speech exercises and rules are given as soon as your David begins a new life chapter, gets over, and you have the questions and answers, everything related to the chapter, and then in the grammar section, you have reported speech. That means lesson number 6 and lesson number 7. We are going to concentrate more on lesson number 6 because it has the rules and the tables related to changing a declarative sentence into indirect speech. The other lesson, that is David Begins a New Life Part 2, has more on questions or interrogative sentences which we are not going to do much of right now. Now the next rule, pronouns change in indirect speech. So what I have to change and to what that pronoun will change, these also you'll have to remember. If in direct speech within inverted commas you have I, then in indirect speech, it will be changed to he or she, depending on whether it is something said by a boy or a girl. So you'll have to be very careful. I cannot remain as I in indirect speech. You have to change it to he or she and see the name and then change it. You again changes to he or she. That means I is in the first person, it changes to the third person. You is in the second person, it changes to he or she. But then there are two ways in which you can be used. If it is used as a subject, then it changes to he or she. But suppose it is I hate you. Now it is not used as a subject, and if you is in the second half of the sentence, then I have to use him or her depending on the subject of the sentence. Your, his or her, your pencil, her pencil. Your car, his car. So anything belonging to someone and you are using the second person, that is your, Showing belongingness has to change to the third person and still show belongingness his or her. My again, his or her. Myself, himself, herself. Himself or herself, depending on the subject. Now I'll quickly repeat all these. I changes to he or she. You, he or she again. You have to see where you is used. Him or her. Your, his, her. Me, him or her, my, his, her, and myself, himself, herself. Ourselves, if you have ourselves, then it changes to themselves. We is, you know when to use we? Yes, we is used when there's a bigger group and a group of people and I am a part of it. So if we use we in direct speech, it changes to they. Us changes to them. Our changes to their. And the spelling has to be right. Their, there shows belongingness, something you possess, and there shows here and there the place. So I cannot use there, it has to be their. Now quickly I'll repeat. Ourselves changes to themselves, we to they, us to them, and are to their. If the speaker is addressing someone, the reporting verb said changes to told. Usually, if you have someone said something, my mother said, I'm going to the market. When you change it, then my mother told, that has to be added because I'm removing the comma and the inverted commas, that she was going to the market. Similarly, if it is in some other tense, it has to change. But if you keep said, in certain cases you may, but if it is something she's telling you, then we change it to told. But if you keep it said only, then also it is not wrong. But if the speaker is addressing someone, usually we find that it is told and it is changed to told. If it is a question, then the reporting verb changes to asked. And as I told you yesterday, if you have exclamatory sentence with an exclamation mark, then you will say, my friend exclaimed. If it is a warning, my teacher warned. If it is an advice, my mother advised. So these words should tell you what kind of a sentence it is, because then these marks have to be removed. In indirect, we don't have a question mark or an exclamation mark or any other marks, punctuation marks, except a full stop. So these verbs are going to tell us what kind of sentence it is. Now, an example of this one, Neha said to her mother, I'm going out. You see it is in inverted commas. And when I change it to indirect, then Neha told her mother that she was going out. Now, said changes to told. Inverted commas are removed. Comma is removed. That comes in place of that comma. I is in the first person. It changes to second person. Am going. What tense is am going? Present continuous. So it changes to past continuous and it becomes was going. So Neha told her mother that she was going out. Now let us take a few examples. Change the following into indirect speech. The sentence in direct speech is, he said, I'm planning to visit my hometown. As you see here, it is in direct speech, it is in inverted commas, and it is these are the exact words of the person who is speaking. Now, if I have to report it to someone or I have to give this message to someone, if I go and say to that person, I'm planning to visit my hometown, that person will think that I am going to go and visit my hometown, which is wrong. I want to convey this message about someone else. So while reporting, I have to change certain things. He told that he was planning to visit his hometown. Inverted commas removed, comma removed, said changes to told, and I changes to he. Am planning again is present continuous, was planning comes in its place. So the sentence becomes, he told that he was planning to visit his hometown. Now, as I told you earlier, the reporting verb, he said, is mostly in the beginning, but sometimes the exact words within inverted commas may be before and then who said may be afterwards, like we have in the second sentence. These are our books, said the twins. Now, these are our books are the exact words used by the twins. And if I have to report it to someone, I'll have to change it to reported speech or indirect speech. I hope you remember reported speech and indirect speech are two names of the same thing. So then the sentence changes to, the twins said that those were their books. Are becomes their and these becomes those, and of course inverted commas and comma is removed, and are changes to the past tense word, that is are becomes were. Now third example. Hina said to her mother, I like my new teacher. Now, Hina is a girl and she is talking to her mother, and her exact words are within quotation marks. I like my new teacher. But when you are telling this or reporting this to someone else, you have to change and then report, and inverted commas have to be removed. Hina told her mother that she liked her new teacher. Now said changes to told. Her mother, that comes in place of the comma. She liked, like changes to like the past tense. My changes to her. New teacher, and of course the inverted commas have to be removed. Now that is all for today. I'll be giving you homework in the ERP Prep app. Please check it and do the homework, and then we will discuss some more important exercises on how to change sentences which are in direct speech into indirect speech. Thank you, children. Have a great day. Take care.